So wow, there is such a spirit of like division and jealousy and competitiveness going on, basically being like thrown at like the workers of truth and the workers of light, the truthers and whatnot. It's really kind of sad, you know, but I mean, it would make sense as to why stuff would be going that way. So it's like, it's really unfortunate when people like feel the need to judge others, because you know when you judge others you're basically going to get that same test thrown right back at you, and you're most likely you're not going to pass it. And yeah, I just want to say, if anyone's devices was reset with AT&T yesterday, it wasn't the universe that did it. It was because the Fed shut down AT&T yesterday. And I know this because my daughter and my grandson's dad literally talked to AT&T, and it was supposed to be down up until the 6th, but apparently the Feds got what they needed. I also kind of wonder, like, I get like turning your comments off, you know, but the thing about it is, and you know, you might be led to do that. You have to listen to yourself. You can't take what somebody else tells you to do. You know, you have to listen to what you are being told to do. Because, you know, if you have, you know, I would have no doubt that you're an intuitive that has shut down an organ trafficking ring. I have in 3 cities myself, so I get it. And that's, you know, basically why I'm kicked out of house and home and put on the street, because they have been so trying to take my life since, you know, the first time it happened. And when that did happen that night, I was quite literally went to the Lord and repented for my abortions, and I finally dealt with them for the sake of my grandson's life. And it was an extreme experience where I was basically like a mother in labor, and basically released some souls. And it ended with the entire power grid in my neighborhood being shut off, going down, except for one bright light in my yard, and also a crack literally happening in the building I was living in the triplex I was living in. But yeah, if you say that you're pointing out, you know, criminals, well, you know what? You would be a great opportunity for you to have your comments on if you want to work with the good guys, because, you know, I do know for a fact that there are some CIA hackers that are in the upright, and they need people like us to, you know, be the bait, and to have those, you know, people like basically coming against us and harassing us on our pages with their comments and whatnot, so that they have something that they can start to trace these networks and track these networks with and bust the criminals. And so you might be called to have your comments on, you might not. I do like allow myself to be a target for this black magic, and boy was I feeling it this morning, and that's because I have an art show coming up. And then now this, like, it's like these people that are readers that have been around, and they've got, you know, all these followings and like lots of like followers, and they're selling product and they're making money and whatnot, you know, and they're denying God. It's like, yeah, of course you're going to be getting some spiritual messages, but like the spirit world is on both sides. And so, you know, there's oftentimes where false interpreters or false readers will be given, you know, a message so they can validate their cause. I mean, it just like works that way. If you think about it, it just really works that way. You know, I don't actually like read tarot. I've only started reading tarot like, I don't know, 8 months ago. And the thing about it is that what's going on in my life now, my mom's Bible study ladies in leotards in the 80s basically like prophesied this story of exactly what's going on in my life now in the background over me when I was 5 years old. And then every legitimate prophet that came into the church basically had the same word. And, you know, the church that I was in, the movement I was in, which I find to be very corrupt in a lot of aspects now, although that there are some real true warriors in that field still, but a lot of them are being exposed, the false ones. It was different in the 80s and 90s as it is today, you know, especially with like what's gone on electronically, and the cell phones and the advancements of the towers, and more and more and more and more microwaves like being, you know, increased gradually. I mean, they couldn't have done it all at once. They would have killed off like, you know, 75% of the planet, and it would have been really, really obvious. But, you know, like even like Billy Graham in his earlier days, yeah, he had some good things to say. He had some good things to say that Black people really admire. But then the fact of the matter is he did end up selling out to money. And he did put Betty Page in a mental institution to die after she did the books. And she saw that they were funneling funds for the Astors, and probably other gangsters. So basically it's just crazy. Like there isn't any like sort of jealousy or like whatever going to come my way to get in the way of me being successful. And I don't know, like she might not have been talking about me. She might have been talking about my nemesis. And, I appreciate the fact if you want to be an atheist, that's cool, whatever. Myself personally, I don't plan on denying the Creator. I don't plan on denying Yeshua, Jehovah. Because the word states that, like, if you do, he's going to deny you on that great day of judgment, and like, it blows my mind that, like, people will say all these scriptures and quote all these scriptures and speak of all these spiritual principles, but yet deny the Creator of heaven and earth. There is a scripture about it. It's in 2 Timothy, but it's people having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. And that actually rings true for a lot of people in churches. If you are wondering whether or not to believe in the Lord, check it out for yourself. Don't go on the judgment and the basis of like jerky Christians you've seen, because I promise you a good percentage of those, are actually in line for judgment and will have to still have their dark night of the soul. And, the road is wide, but narrow's the path. And so, I mean, that's something that I can't understand. No, I do get, and I do actually agree and believe that there were some prejudices put in the Bible. Like, for instance, with King James, King James did have sex with other men, yet there's a whole lot of like homosexual stuff. And I always thought that was like not right, because just like, why are we pointing out their sins in particular? I mean, like Paul says, we're all going to sin until the day we die, So I thought there was definitely some prejudice that's gone in the Bible towards gays. Do I believe it's a natural design? Not necessarily. I just believe that there's reasons that, people choose that. And in a lot of instances, it's because they've been victims and they've kind of been ruined. And, there's healing available for everyone. You know what I mean? But like, and then there are definitely agendas as to why especially certain people groups in particular, like the Native Americans have been like transgendering for a lot longer than this has become like a big fad, and you're seeing it all over. But personally, I do support like, boys dressing as girls, because I think sometimes it can point out to predators within their family or community. You know what I mean? What else was I going to say? I don't know. But like generally, like honestly, anytime that the Spirit has worked through me in a gift of prophecy, mostly a gift of compassion or healing, it was basically like, when I saw somebody and I had extreme compassion for them, it used to be really tough for me to like walk by a severely obese people. Like I would literally tear up often, and like with other types of people as well, when I would just like walk by them and everything. And, I'll probably do it in another video, but there have been many times where I even went so far as to cuss out the Lord, and sure enough, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and that miracle was in my bank account, So that thing that was needed was there on time. And so there is definitely divine timing. Just because you cry out to the Lord for something doesn't mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean it's not in the works. It just means that, it might be on its way, and there might be some things that have to happen or take place in your life or like somebody else's life or something for that to be the right timing, And you know about it now because there's things that you have to do to prepare yourself. And not only that, your faith is being tested, kind of just like the story of Job. The thing that Christian churches, where they're really failing miserably, and where some preachers are going to be in severe judgment, is the fact that they have completely denied what Christ called was true religion, which was to father the orphans, care for the widows. I mean, some of these people in my situation, my whole family, like basically left me for dead. Instead of my church helping me out, they like basically kicked me out. Instead of just taking an offering for medical treatment that I needed, that I have to pay for myself, because of course they're not going to like acknowledge the disease that was basically a result of military experiments in the underground. And I was like in the cradle, and the first one to be chosen because of DNA. And so because of that, I'm finding there's a whole lot of like interference and jealousy from some of these readers that have been up forever, and they just don't even want to like acknowledge me. Yeah, there are, God is within us all, and we're all connected, and the Spirit is within us. I definitely believe that. I definitely believe books were left out of the Bible on purpose, especially Magdalene's book, and I do believe that the seed of Magdalene was protected for a reason. And it's all been for a reason, and it's all about to be revealed and everything, but like basically, like when it comes to like my story and my intuition, cards aside from any of it, it's basically been just things that actually happened in life, that actually supported prophecies of my past, that actually, like, kind of like this picture here, it should be called confirmation, but with a giant C-O-N, and it has to do with my Instagram account, and the fact that like it didn't know whether it was in my head or not. Like, I had this connection with somebody following a medical appointment that I consented to share concerning Morgellons disease, and an eye lock with somebody. That was a past life eye lock. That was like 5, 6, 7 eye lock that I forgot about. And it was like, it wasn't until the place across from where I was living basically got bought, and I could tell that I was being recorded, and I know who bought it, that I started to fall in love with that energy, because it was so close to me, you know what I mean? And started to think about that again and not be able to let it go. And so anyways, on my Instagram page before the false marriage, there was like, there was haters on my Instagram page from that person's page. And one of them like basically had to do with dandelions being like so gross and so worthless, when in fact they can actually like save a person's life, and they've got a lot of good purpose to them. And so it was weird. It was like, that was confirmation, but then it was weird that this person went and married somebody else, But even before that, like, I remember having a huge fit, and like, I wish I had that deck, because that deck I just like threw all over. It had a lot of emotion concerning the situation in it. Like, it's tough for me to read now because I don't have the right decks. I don't have the decks that I've had that have been reading the karmic's energy or reading me and my twin flames energy. But also that was another confirmation. We quite literally were marrying each other. We quite literally are the same in a lot of aspects, and quite literally our families did work together in business. My grandpa like built the oil industry. He worked on the first offshore oil rig. He created Ocean Pump that he never got credit for. And then he had all the core sampling sent to him in Denver, and then he sold it, and he invested in the stock market, and he was one of the original investors in AI and robotics, and that company went under, and that was about the time that my mom was sent to the Center of Genetic Studies. So, and then like my dad, he put milk jugs around a raft in the 80s. And then also I know that a lot of my work and my jewelry genre and other works concerning like early childhood, like curriculum with sustainability and other ideas basically have been stolen, and I was like kept pressed down and stolen from and deprived, so that somebody could get away with like stealing my work, I kind of still believe in a higher purpose, and I really do believe in forgiveness, and I really do believe in things coming around and a testimony. And so we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I won't be disrespected. I won't be disrespected by a dude, and I won't be disrespected by any of these psychopaths. And yeah, I can like stir it on a little, and I can like egg it on, and I can like, I can't even think of the word. Try to like, I'm trying to egg these person on because I want criminals to be caught up, because I know we can't have a better tomorrow for the children. And ever since I did childcare before I got too sick to do it, and I'm not even going to bitch about it, even though there was extreme injustice concerning my family, I'm not going to bitch about it right now. But I developed this sort of like burden for the next generation that is never gone away. So I know that was a true burden or whatever, but I used to train not only other directors, but the people that trained the directors that ran the, Child Care Connections program in this town. And then all that was stolen, and I was giving like literally zero credit for things after they almost killed me. After the cops almost killed me, and since then they've just basically just tried to like turn me into a horrible person, when I'm just kind of a person that was at home working on healing themselves, dealing with like a massive amount of disease, failed vaccines, experimental vaccines come out of the top of my head, which has been really torturous. And there are nanobots included, like yeah, I don't know if you've seen the Illuminati card game, the Eliza card, but basically there is a mother, there is a computer database, and we're all connected to it. And that's why a lot of us know these same stories, and a lot of us are going through the same sort of stories. Is, you know, the narratives are kind of generic, you know, watch Westworld or whatever there. But, you know, I don't know, like, people can front, people can say this and that, and it's out of jealousy. I don't want to believe that person was talking about me, but like, I kind of like the feeling and the intuition I got when I clicked on, and I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but the intuition I got on it was not a good one. It wasn't a good spirit. It wasn't a good intention.